Warhol here. Ha ha ha, just kidding. He-Man here, the most powerful man in the universe. Tila likes to tease me that I look like Andy Warhol. Alright, so today we're going to have a discussion on the plastic representations of myself, of which there are many. Now, the beginning of He-Man was off to a bit of a rough start. So what happened is Mattel was working together with the people from Conan the Barbarian, and they were working together on Conan toys. And they created this He-Man body design, and it was going to be Conan the Barbarian. But when Mattel looked at what they created, they decided, wow, let's keep this for ourselves, and they pulled out of the deal. Well, the Conan people then sued them for a breach of contract and about creativity, and it went to court, and it was determined that actually the idea of He-Man was created before Conan and Mattel had worked together. So the rights went to Mattel, and they created this He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon, which came out in 1983. So next year is the 40th anniversary. So there are 40-year anniversary toys coming out. And if you'll notice on Netflix, there are two, there's He-Man Revelations and He-Man Masters of the Universe. And then a couple of years ago, there was also a reboot of She-Ra, which is also a character that is a tie-in with He-Man. But I may be the most powerful man in the universe, and when I hold the sword aloft, right? When I hold my mighty sword aloft and the sword of Grayskull, and I call out those words by the power of Grayskull, I become the most powerful man in the universe. Well, I don't want to say it too loud because then lightning will come down and I will be reverted back to my teenage form, Prince Adam. Now, though I may be the most powerful man in the universe, I do not have the best of eyes. So I do have to put on glasses and no fuss, no muss. So, on with the discussion. So, He-Man is a vast idea. There's different iterations of him, different cartoons, all over these past 40 years, the different creations. And to break it down into a logical format has been very difficult because there's many different outfits and armor and then different characters and different eras of He-Man. So to break it down into something that is just in one direction and a rather smaller segment has been a bit difficult until recently. Something that I purchased this past week brought everything together, and it was this toy here, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, that unified a couple of ideas and brought things together. I'm going to tell you how that happened. All right, so there's He-Man 1983, the original cartoon. Then there was He-Man, the New Adventures of HeMan in 1990. And then in 2002, there was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe again, which actually, this is the New Adventures of HeMan DVD set. I think there's 65 episodes. All right, and actually I've never really watched it. I just bought it and was waiting on it. But I do have some of the toys, and I'll show you that. And then in 2002, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This is my favorite He-Man version. And I don't want to forget to tell you how I came upon that. But so, and then there's He-Man last in 2021, He-Man Revelations and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. That is 5 different He-Man iterations of it. All right, so what you have is you have Prince Adam, right? That calls out by the power of Grayskull, and then he turns into He-Man, right? Into myself. All right. Well, so on the back of this here, you see there's He-Man, and then you see a teenage boy version of He-Man. Now that's different than the original He-Man. That harkens to the 2002 He-Man iteration. So this toy is new, and it's represented by this figure right here. All right. Now what this figure does is it unifies some He-Man concepts. So the first thing is the body type is similar to the original He-Man, which I have here. Okay, similar body type, similar muscularity, same height, all right? But what it has as different is that the original He-Man actually does not have a lot of articulation. It doesn't have knee joints, ankle joints, shin joints, elbows, and the arms they only go forward and backward. They don't have any shoulder articulation, no wrists. The legs are held on by thick rubber bands, which do wear out and break, and then there goes the toy. It's missing legs, so I try not to move it very much. It does have a spring in the body, so he can do that. Now, the new He-Man toy does not have the spring, but it does have waist articulation. He can turn, but he stays in that direction, and his head can move in all directions. The old He-Man can't do that. And the sword on this He-Man, so it has the body type of the old He-Man and the height. It has the sword of the 2002 He-Man, okay? And it has the articulation of today's modern iteration of He-Man. So that's bringing three different ideas together. The original sword of He-Man is like this. So you can see it's quite different. All right. Also, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So now this original He-Man, all right, that Tila purchased for me at like a yard sale, is all scratched up. Okay, and so what I did is I had to match the skin and paint the face again. I gave him green eyes and painted the hair, and I painted all the wristbands. I painted the gold. I painted the waist. I even got gold around the jewel in his belt. I'll take close-ups of these and put them at the end of the video. Even I put little gold dots, little rivets around his belt there. So that is the original He-Man, 1982. Now, as I was showing you here, you see the Prince Adam is a teenage boy. This is the 2002 teenage boy Prince Adam. So, that's what brings some different ideas together. Now you'll see he has the sword that is similar, that is the 2002 sword. However, if you look at this 2002 sword, you can see it's slightly different. All right, since the bottom here is facing downward and this one's facing up. But there's a good reason for that, because in the 2002 He-Man, the sword turns like this. So it can turn, flatten out, and then it gets the power of Grayskull. Okay, and that's the 2002 He-Man. But we'll get back to that in a minute. But I just want to show you how all these things come together. So the original Prince Adam was this coloring. He had a pink sword. He was very muscular, hardly a teenage-looking boy. All right, but it's the same body type. They didn't make a different mold for him, and they just basically changed the colors on him. And this is the modern version of Prince Adam. He has all the joints and articulation, the wrists and the knees and the, the ankles. All right, so but it's the coloring is like the 1983 Prince Adam. Now these two Prince Adams that I have here are original 1983 Prince Adams, but they were purchased at the same flea market is what it was. That's the word I was looking for. And they were all scratched up. So I repainted them, all right, with silver and gold, and I painted their belts. And I had to repaint the hair on this one. And you can see, though, I did quite a lot of detail in the belts and the wristbands. And those have the rubber band joints, which are remarkably easy to get to stand, which is surprising, that it just has a rubber band holding the leg on. But again, if it breaks, it's really very difficult to find a way to attach it. In fact, you have to take the action figure apart, and I've never done that, so I just try not to really move it very much. This one, the new ones have a ball joint, so it can move in all directions, and it's not going to break like that over time, because what happens is the rubber bands, they dry out, and they wear out, and then they break. So this He-Man here, all right, is made by a company called Super 7. Now this is a near exact replica of the original He-Man, okay, which again is that one that I had painted. But what's a little different is he's shinier, and he does have the same limited articulation, but he does not have the rubber bands in the joints. It doesn't have ball joints that have as much movement as the new molds, all right? And he does have the waist spring attack ability. So that's the Super 7 original remake of He-Man that came out a couple of years ago. And this He-Man here is the modern He-Man. This one you can purchase now. This is, it's the old style He-Man, the same, similar design, does not have the spring, but has all the original weaponry, very similar to the original He-Man, the shield, the axe. You can see the sword is similar to the original He-Man there, okay? See how this has a little plastic guard? It's to help him hold on to it. I use rubber bands to hold on to it too anyway, those clear bands. But that's similar to the original sword. And so that's the 5.5-inch modern iteration of He-Man. And again, what's different, the one that unified 2002 and the new one is this one. And you can see the armor is different, all right? The axe is different. The sword is different. The shield is different. But if you look at the 2002 He-Man again, right? You can see that the axe, similar design, the shield, similar design, and the sword, let me put this back in flat mode, pretty much the same sword. Even the hairstyle is similar. The coloring is similar. The armor, the chest plate is similar. And so that's, and you even have, the waist, the belt is similar. So that's what this did, is it brought 2002, 1983, and modern articulation all together, okay? All right, so moving on then to the next iteration of He-Man. So there is the original 1983, and then in order of years, we have the new Adventures of HeMan, right? Okay, this one here. All right, clear some things out of the way. And I'll show you that here. All right, so that toy is this He-Man here. Okay? All right, so his shield broke and his sword handle broke. I glued on a old He-Man weapon to make a handle for the sword. But this is the New Adventures of He-Man, and he has a spring in him. He has limited articulation. He does have a knee, and he has ball joint hips so that it won't break. What's really good about this He-Man is the musculature is actually quite realistic. If you look at the back muscles on him, those are a really realistic design of a bodybuilder's back muscles. The lat muscle here, the latissimus dorsi, is actually big enough to sort of fold over. And then you can see his traps, you can see his upper pecs and striations in his shoulders, and the brachialis in the bicep. So it's actually quite detailed in a realistic way, and you can see all the separation of the quads, also realistic, and not as bulky and sort of hard to believe as the original He-Man body design. Right? More like a modern bodybuilder. Well, this He-Man, is there was not a whole lot of toys that came out with the 1988 line of He-Man toys. So I purchased a He-Man Classics figure. All right. So there's a He-Man Classics. You see how complicated this gets? It's really hard to break down into something simple. He-Man Classics was an online-only He-Man adult collector's toy, based on not 5.5 inch or 6 inch, but a 7-inch tall scale. Okay, this is the He-Man from the Classics line. All right. Well, there was a character that was a bad guy. Okay, and it didn't look anything. It wasn't He-Man. It was just another character. All right. And however, it came with the sword and shield that went to our New Adventures of He-Man. You see how it's larger, but it's the same design. That's how the original handle looked before it broke, and that's how the shield looked before that broke. So I didn't. Interestingly, this is the He-Man symbol for the New Adventures of He-Man on the shield, and it was going to a character that was not good and not He-Man. So I wanted to have this sword and shield go to He-Man. So what I did is this vest here, this power vest, went to a character named Hero. You see how complicated this gets? Try not to have everything here to overwhelm you. But I was able to borrow, this was an extra piece that came with Hero, okay, and put this on a figure and then give him the sword and shield and create, I had an extra head, and create He-Man. Now, this is actually a wrestler. This is a Jakks Pacific wrestling figure that I just took the head off, and now I made a New Adventures of He-Man in the 7-inch scale. All right, you can see that it's a similar size to that. The extra head came from this figure here. This is the Prince Adam Classics line, Prince Adam. It came with that extra head, okay? And you can see he's big and muscular, but in the Classics line, there were comic books that came with the figures, and Prince Adam was not a teenager. He was just a guy that, when he said the magic words, would turn into He-Man. And this is how the sword looked, and it came in 2 pieces, and you could snap it together, and it would become, you see how it actually has little notches here, and you could clip the other side on, and then it would become a single piece of sword. The reason it comes apart is his Nemesis Skeletor had the other half. Now, I lost the other half. It fell somewhere, and I don't know where it is. But anyway, I have this, and it came in the package with Orko. So Orko and Prince Adam came together, and that was purchased at Big Lots for $10. And now I think he's about, it's $50 to get that. So I was really lucky to find that. Orko is a little magician character. who's kind of the comic relief on the show, generally speaking. So, all right, so that's Classics Prince Adam. And then this here is an interesting story. So this is Classics line He-Man. This is the sword that it came with. I don't know where his shield is, but I used a Predator head as a shield. Now, I had a hard time remembering how I got this figure, because the actual original first Classics line He-Man is $150, and there's no way I was going to spend that. Additionally, this one has yellow wrists, and he has a short wristband on the left side. The original Classics He-Man has orange wrists, darker coloring to the straps, and a large wristband on the left. So it just snapped into my head finally where this came from. It came from a 2-pack. And I remember getting this at Toys R Us one evening where it came with Superman. And what it was is there was, I think it was Skeletor and, let me see, what's his name? The bad guy. I can't think of it right now, but the guy that's always Superman's technology nemesis, got together and they created some magic and had the two of them duke it out. And there was a comic book with that, and I don't know where it is. But anyway, that's really all I cared about at the time, was getting this He-Man. And that's where that He-Man came from. All right. So, there's another He-Man that is similar to the New Adventures of He-Man, and that is Laser He-Man. And that's this guy here, and you push a button on top, and the sword lights up. So this is the Classics line He-Man. It came in a 2-pack for, I believe it was $90. Came with a robotic Skeletor. He had been modified with robotic parts, and this is sort of a more mature looking He-Man. Okay. That's that guy there, and so that sort of completes going up to 1990, right? So even though this was purchased, probably about within the past 10 years, it sort of is a lot like, this He-Man here, right? In terms of the sword being clear, and, so you have that. So I grouped that together, all right, Laser He-Man. All right, now get to the 2002 He-Man. So the 2002 He-Man there was a big push on that. There are many, many versions of He-Man toys that came with that, and I have most of them, or practically all of them. I know there's a couple I might not have, but I pretty much have all of them. But this is the first one that came out. And there was a McDonald's line of toys that came with it, and there you are. Came with Cringer, Battle Cat, all right, and He-Man on top, and he has the sword in the back, and he has some arm articulation, and he even has the spring, all right. So, and there's the sword. He does have a hard time holding on to it. He drops it often. It has a little nib on it, and or nub. And you can put that here. Lex Luthor. That's He-Man's enemy. Lex Luthor and Skeletor got together. That's what happened there. All right. So I think also what might be fun for you to see is this came out. Masters of the Universe 2002 He-Man versus Skeletor. And this is He-Man's nemesis there, Skeletor. And if you've never seen one of these, so they move back and forth and they spin. Incredible fun, right? And Skeletor won. He knocked him off, and he's just ecstatic. And you can snap that back on. And he's back on. He's ready to battle. and that time He-Man won. See? So just hours of fun for the whole family, really. I mean, you could just all get together and over an ice cream cake, you can all take turns playing with that. All right, so now we're almost done. Hot Wheels did not escape the power of Grayskull. And there's a He-Man car. Now there are other He-Man cars, but this is one of the early ones. And this is one of his buddies, Ram Man. All right, he's got a picture of that on there. And then this is a flying vehicle, which I looked up the name and now I've forgotten again. But you can, that's it has little wheels on the bottom, and that's He-Man. It's a He-Man flying vehicle. Has little articulation there, and you can fly that around. Now, moving to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelations. All right, this is Kevin Smith, the director, writer, came up with an idea for Netflix for a He-Man cartoon, and this is in the box, the He-Man version that he came up with. What's really nice is this is a 7-inch scale. All right, now the 7-inch scale classics line, the He-Man, are at least $50, and this is $20, and oftentimes you can get it for clearance for half that. So it was really nice that this toy was made to give us all kinds of fun that we can have with He-Man, and you have Moss Man, Skeletor, and Evil Lyn. All right, and there's many other characters that you can get. This is the He-Man out of the package. All right, without his shield, but this is the sword. It's larger, but you can see that it is similar in shape, all right, to the new iteration of He-Man, and even the original. Okay, but just larger for a larger action figure. It has the double joints in the knees and the elbows, full articulation of the shoulders. You can twist the body, and the thighs twist as well. You can also change the heads. So this is not the original head that came with this He-Man. If you'll notice, the hair is shorter here. So you can see on the picture there. All right, but this, I like this. I thought this went together better. So this came from Savage He-Man. Now this is the Savage He-Man body, and you'll notice that he doesn't have boots on. His waist doesn't have a belt. All right, his weapons are the axe is less refined. This actually weapon went to Conan the Barbarian toy that we saw in one of the previous interview video with Conan, or maybe even the unboxing. This head is not Conan. It goes to a Marvel character, the Sentry, but I thought it looked really good on Savage He-Man. Now, the difference in the body between Savage He-Man and this He-Man here is actually everything is the same except the coloring, but the torso part, you see how it's a separate piece, is actually more muscular. The lats are bigger, the chest is bigger, the traps are a little bigger. So actually the same clothing won't fit on this. So everything else is the same, the arms, the thighs, the waist, but they made the upper body a little bit bigger because when he became sort of mindless and savage in the Revelations cartoon, he was like crazy, mighty, and strong. That's why the heads are different. But like I said, I have an original one in the package. And last, we have Mega Bloks got into the deal. Right, there's a Mega Bloks He-Man set, which I will show you. I have the Mega Bloks Castle Grayskull and many of the characters. And here's little miniature He-Man. Okay, and this is similar to the new modern iteration of He-Man, this one here. All right, and this came out probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And when I saw that, I was like, you know, I think I can paint that and make it look like Conan. So I did. So I took that character and I painted his sword. See how it's just gray there? I painted it with some bronze. And I painted his shield. And I painted his hair black. And I even gave him a little necklace. And I painted his belt with some red on there. And I will take close-ups of these and put them on the show. So it might be hard to believe, but I even gave him a beard, actually. So I was able to use magnifying glasses and paint all that and get a good paint job. So this is the first simple breakdown. It's kind of a mess over here of He-Man. All right. Oh, last is WWE got into the WWE Eternia toys, and they used the Ultimate Warrior to be their hero, their He-Man hero. Okay, and again, you'll notice it is the same body type, but there's different plastic molding, and the head is different. But that is their He-Man for the WWE Eternia collection. So, all right, and so that is the simplest breakdown I could come up with, just to introduce you to just the original lines of He-Man. And in the future, we will be going through a lot of the side characters and Castle Grayskull and Teela and the various Teelas and other characters. There's so much in the Battle Cat collection and even Battle Lion. So we'll be getting back with all that, and I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a lot to absorb, but it's very complicated, the He-Man line of toys, and that's why it was difficult to do a show on. So, thanks for watching. Now I must get back to Eternia, because there's a castle to defend, and who knows what mischief Skeletor might be into. Alright, so here we can see the original Prince Adams with their custom paint job. And some of the detail painted into the belts and the green eyes that I was able to paint in there. Let's see if we can zoom there. And then the original Prince Adam coloring on the modern body design. And the Prince Adam Classics line. And the Teenage Prince Adam from the 2002 He-Man line. And then going backward, we have the original He-Man that needed to be repainted because it was so scratched. And then we had the Super 7 version that remade him. A little bit more mature look to him, and shinier. And then we have the remade iteration of He-Man the past couple of years. 5.5 scale. And then we have the 2002 He-Man with the sword that actually can turn. And then we have the McDonald's version of that. And the He-Man that brought it all together is this one that I purchased last week, which brings together the 2002 design and the sword and the shield with the modern articulation and the original muscularity and body design of the 1983 He-Man. And then we can go over here to He-Man Classics, the classic line that He-Man came with the Superman. And then we have the new Adventures of He-Man with the shield that broke. You can see on the back here. As it was a hard, brittle plastic, so that broke. And then they came out with those weapons again, and I had to custom make a He-Man, but it's a better plastic, it won't break. And then Laser He-Man, that lights up here. Push the button on the top, and then the sword lights up. and the WWE tourney with the Ultimate Warrior as He-Man. And then they have the He-Man Revelations. We have the original He-Man in the package. And then I changed the head to the Savage He-Man head, which had the longer hair. And then I took the Savage He-Man and gave him a head that belongs to the Marvel character Sentry. And then we have the Hot Wheels Masters of the Universe cars, and there's the He-Man on there. And then we have the He-Man battle toy for hours of fun. All right. Thank you.